Hi, I'm Valerie Wilson, and I am here with Travel Channel's darling, Samantha Brown.
Darling, thank you.
Yes, you're the queen of Travel Channel. You're the one woman on the network that really has been there since the beginning.
The cheese stands alone. Yes.
What is it like to be a woman in a male-dominated industry?
The men who are at the Travel Channel are my biggest supporters and biggest fans. We support each other so much. We talk to each other all the time. So I don't feel like I'm an outcast. In fact, I feel like I'm one of the group. I certainly wish there were more women on the network and even traveling. I feel like people see adventure as a male thing when obviously women travel actually even more than men. So why isn't that represented? So I'm glad that I can do my small part to show that women are out there and we like adventure and we like taking chances and having challenges. And so you do what you can.
Yeah, that's good to hear. I'm actually a part of a Facebook group, an online community called Girls Love Travel, and there's like over 20,000 women that all talk and contribute and exchange information.
Well, I'm going to like that page. That's great.
And a lot of them are solo travelers. So could you tell me about your first solo traveling experience?
You know, I have a lot of them. In every job that I do, I'm on my own for a few days. And we always try to separate ourselves from the crew because we just spend so much time together.
Right.
So I'm always alone. And I love it. And I feel like where a lot of women are fearful of it, I feel like it really it allows you to see a culture and a people in a very different way than if you had a partner.
Right.
People look out for you when you're a woman alone. I definitely sense that. I've been in places where people were like, do not walk alone, and I walked alone. And I had wonderful experiences, but I always tell people, especially women, always trust the hairs on the back of your neck. So even if you talk to a hotel clerk, you know, I'm going through here, this neighborhood, just to make sure it's okay. Is that going to be fine for me? And if they say, yeah, go ahead. If your hairs on the back of your neck tell you something different, you turn around. Always trust your gut.
That's true. That's really good advice. I travel solo 95% of the time because it's hard to match schedules with your friends or people don't want to do things. And I'm like, I found a deal. I'm going.
Yeah, great.
So definitely that's really good advice. Do you have any other advice for women travelers?
I would say, I guess women travelers. I think what else I say. Because it always ties around safety, but I just feel like I always just love to walk. And like my presentation today, I always tell people just go for a walk, but get out of the tourism centers and go to where the people live and just sit down in one of their cafes and be a part of everyday life. And I feel like wherever you go, people are more open to women than they are men. So they'll start a conversation with you, but here's my biggest tip that I always tell people. If someone starts a conversation with me, I always have a healthy suspicion.
Okay.
If I start a conversation, I know it's fine, I started the conversation, but if someone came up to me and started talking, I always have in the back of my mind, he started the conversation. And I've never had a problem, but it's just something you always want to keep in mind.
That's a really good piece of advice. I always tell people, like someone's waiting for me.
Yeah.
I always pretend
he's
that
big,
someone's waiting.
And he's won like Mr. Universe contest. Yeah.
So like if they're like, hey, are you traveling alone? Until I've really spent some time with them, I'm like, oh no, my friends are meeting up with them.
Yeah.
So,
yeah.
you know.
And I think you have to, as a female, act confident. So you want to make sure that you kind of understand where you're going, so you're not constantly looking at your map. You're not on your phone. You're aware of what's going on. I always tell people never wear earbuds. Women, when you go for a jog, take them out. Be aware of your surroundings. And 15 years of travel, I've had only one experience that was bad. One. That's it.
Could you tell me about it?
Yeah, I was in Belize, and I went to the hotel clerk and I said, I'm going to go this way. Is that an okay way to get downtown? She's like, oh, that's fine. And I came around a corner and there was no one on the block, but I instantly felt the hairs on the back of my neck go up, and I thought something's wrong. But I had to go. I write the show, like I can't go back to the hotel, so I kept going. And pretty soon, one man came out, another man, and then I was just surrounded. And they were taunting me, and they speak English in Belize, so I understood what they were saying. And they started pushing me, and I thought, okay, this is bad. And all of a sudden, they just stopped, and they just kind of turned around, and that was it. But I realized I knew it before I even saw one person. I knew something was wrong. and I should have just turned around.
Women's intuition.
Yeah, woman's intuition.
Always
There's nothing
right.
like it.
Oh my gosh.
Yeah.
That's so scary.
But I was fine, and I was fine, and everything else went really well. And most people traveling to Belize, they didn't go where I went.
Right.
But I'm always telling people to go off the beaten path. So it was disappointing that I did have that experience, but it's the only time.
Right, yeah, I totally understand that. I'm always trying to find the places that the tourists aren't.
Yeah.
But that's where you have to be careful. What do you think the number one mistake is that most new travelers make?
I think it's just sticking to the main tourism centers and feeling that that's what they should see. And I think it's what we all want to do. We want to see what we grew up reading about and seeing in posters. But I always think it's important to just go down the side streets. Just one street over from like the Champs-Élysées in Paris is a totally different world.
Right.
It's more local. It's more unique. And so I always tell people, don't go. It's not about going off the beaten path. Just go where you didn't know to look, but really explore and kind of wander. And you don't have to go far from the major tourism centers, but if you go out of them, you will discover a very different world.
Very good. You're from Brooklyn, correct?
Yes.
Well,
Not
you're not from there, but you live there.
I live right.
Okay, so what's the best pizza place?
Oh my gosh, the best pizza place for me is Grimaldi's.
Okay,
which
good.
is under the Brooklyn Bridge.
Same
I love
page.
it. Yeah, have you been?
Oh yeah,
it's the
so
best.
good.
Yeah,
It's
you
really
wait in
good.
line, you're so hungry, you think you're going to drop, and then you get the best pizza of your life.
It's really good. They've got a good location too.
They do, yeah, exactly.
What is your all-around best travel tip or travel hack?
I have in my luggage been carrying for 15 years pinky balls.
I read about this.
Yes, so they're 2 balls about the size of a tennis ball. They're solid, hard rubber, and they're basically, after I've had a really long red-eye flight or if I've been on my feet all day because of seeing the sights, I go back to my hotel, you put them on the ground, I put them in between my shoulder blades, and I push up with my knees and I roll down my back. And every knot, every kink, every sore muscle gets just worked out. You can work them down your legs, you can stand on them to work out your arches, and you feel like you've had a $250 massage for $5.
Oh my gosh, I'm like literally going to be ordering those
Pinky
tonight.
balls.
She just sold it.
Exactly. And I
What,
make no money in endorsing them.
what is your best packing tip?
My best packing tip. Oh my gosh, I've got like 400.
Okay, your best 5
Oh
or
gosh,
however many you can think of.
One thing I do packing is I save my old sneakers because I'm a runner and I like to run, and packing sneakers is the worst because it takes up too much room. So I pack old sneakers that I don't wear anymore, and then I go on my trip and I just leave them there.
Okay.
And then when I come back, I have more room. Yeah.
Oh, that's
yeah.
a good
So
idea.
that's
Then you have room for souvenirs.
Yeah, exactly. Room for stuff.
Oh, that's
But in terms of packing, 3 pairs of pants, 3 tops. 3 pairs of pants, if they match the tops, it'll give you 3 outfits. It gives you 9 outfits. And you change the outfit from day to night, casual upscale with accessories. Because accessories and jewelry don't take up any room or add weight to your luggage. Clothing does. So minimize clothing, maximize accessories, and you look great.
That's a good tip. Your Instagram says that you are the girl with the best job in the world.
Yes.
Could you explain your favorite part of the job? I mean, you have everyone's dream job.
Yeah.
So what's the best part of being Samantha Brown?
The best part of being me is actually, I get to travel, but I get to spend time in people's everyday lives around the world. And I've always found that people's everyday lives are extraordinary. And it's amazing when you go around the world and people welcome you into their lives. And there's just nothing like it. Nothing like feeling like you belong to a place as far away as Cambodia to Abu Dhabi to Peru. And that is where I feel like I am so blessed and privileged in that I feel comfortable no matter where I go.
If you had to name your biggest lesson that you've learned from traveling over the last 15 plus years, what would it be?
My biggest lesson would be, for me, it was to break out of shyness and to be really worried about not pronouncing things correctly, not saying things right, being culturally okay. We make mistakes. You fall flat on your face. And I think that's a tough concept for Americans because America is such a big country, and when we travel, we know the language, we know the currency, we understand what our culture is like, even though we're different from California to New York. And to dive into a place and just enjoy the moment and not worry about doing everything that is correct. And that's at first I wanted to be correct. I wanted to do everything right. It was like a test. I passed it. I went to Rome and I know the Colosseum and I know how to say hello and please and thank you and I'm going to be right and I'm going to get an A. And that was the wrong approach. For me, it was learning to be human, to make mistakes and understand that that's a part of the travel process.
And that seems like that would translate to being a host. But what sort of what advice would you have for someone like me that's trying to become you?
None.
Uh-oh. Like, come on. Like, you can't compete with this. I'm not a competition.
Yeah, no, totally your competition. Absolutely. There's plenty of room, plenty of room. It is just to be yourself and to have travels and to meet people and really make sure that the person and their story becomes the actual story, not the place, because people and their stories create, I think, a destination. And it is just being you and not trying to be anybody else.
Thank you so much.
Thank you.
Thank you to Samantha Brown for joining us.